Welcome to Spectrum News at 4, coming to you live from Uyo. My name is Ofonono Joseph. Let's take a look at the top stories. Presidential Committee vows swift overhaul of Nigeria's security training institutions. Nysc begins nationwide verification for foreign-trained graduates. Plus, China suspends special port fees on U.S. vessels. Stay tuned for details of these stories and more in just a moment. Good afternoon and thank you for joining us on the news. We begin this afternoon from the national scene where the Presidential Committee on the Overhaul and Revamp of Training Institutions for Security Agencies, chaired by Enugu State Governor Peter Mba, has reaffirmed its commitment to meeting the deadline for submitting its findings and a comprehensive bill of quantities detailing the total cost of refurbishing the nation's security training facilities for full implementation. The assurance was given during the committee's inspection of the Nigeria Police Training School, Nysc, in Rivers State, part of a nationwide assessment of security training institutions. The 8-member committee, inaugurated by President Bola Tinubu under the auspices of the National Economic Council, was accompanied on the visits by Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara, Ogun State Governor Dakpo Abiodun, and the committee's secretary, retired IGP Baba Usman, among others. During the inspection, the team observed that the Nysc facility was in a state of severe neglect, with dilapidated buildings, vandalized infrastructure, and overgrown premises. Addressing journalists after the tour, Governor Mba explained that the inspection was in line with President Tinubu's directive to conduct an urgent evaluation and rehabilitation of all police and security training centers across the country. Now to the nation's leader, President Bola Tinubu, who has congratulated Chukwuma Soludo on his re-election as governor of Anambra State. Soludo was returned for a second term in office after recording a landslide victory, winning all 21 local government areas in the election. According to results declared by the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) yesterday, the massive victory makes the professor the third governor in Anambra's political history to win a second term. In a statement personally signed by him, President Tinubu described Soludo's re-election as a testament to his visionary leadership and the significant progress recorded under his administration. He urged Governor Soludo to be magnanimous in victory and to seek the cooperation of his opponents in the just concluded election. President Tinubu also commended the new INEC chairman, Joash Amugbiton, and his team for conducting what he described as a credible election based on reports received so far. He charged the commission to maintain high standards and continue to improve its performance so they strengthen and deepen their electoral system. Moving away from that, Vice President Kashim Shettima has returned to Abuja after leading Nigeria's delegation to the 30th United Nations Climate Change Conference COP30 in Belém, Brazil. At the global event, the country reaffirmed its frontline position in global climate action and its commitment to a green transition. The return of the Vice President was announced yesterday in Abuja in a statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Communications in the Office of the Vice President, Stanley Nkwocha. Shatima, who joined world leaders, development partners, and top industry executives at the Leaders Climate Summit hosted by Brazilian President Luiz da Silva, urged the international community to recognize the economic value of nature and adopt predictable, equitable, and accessible funding mechanisms to protect and restore ecosystems. In a separate development, House of Representatives member Abdul Mumin Jibrin has officially returned to the All Progressives Congress APC from NNPP and is backing President Bola Tinubu's re-election bid in 2027. This is contained in a statement issued by Jibrin, who represents Kiru and Bebeji constituency, Kano. He made the announcement yesterday, renouncing his membership in the New Nigeria People's Party (NNPP) and the Kwankwasiya movement led by the former Kano State Governor, Dr. Rabiu Kwankwaso. Jibrin's return to the APC came 2 months after his expulsion from the NNPP over alleged anti-party activities and non-payment of membership dues. In another development, the National Youth Service Corps says it has commenced the physical verification of credentials and travel documents for foreign-trained Nigerian graduates who registered for the 2025 Batch C service year. The agency noted that it will hold from today to Wednesday, November 12, 2025, across designated centers nationwide. According to a statement titled, issued by the NYSC management, the exercise is meant for prospective corps members whose documents are yet to be physically verified after completing their online registration. Moving on, the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Egbetokun, has called for a deeper collaboration among security agencies, the academia, and communities to tackle Nigeria's multifaceted insecurity. Speaking at the 3rd edition of the Security Summit organized by the Lagos State University of Education, LASUED, with the theme Strengthening the Partnership Between Town and Gown in the Age of Insecurity, Egbetokun said national security cannot rely on force alone, but must be anchored on education, morality, and civic responsibility. The police boss described the security threats confronting the country as complex and technology-driven, listing them as cyber attacks, misinformation, kidnapping, and terrorism. He assured that the police force was transforming into an intelligence-led, technology-driven, and community-focused service through the use of data analytics, drones, forensic tools, and cyber crime units. Away from that, the president of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, Professor Chris Piwuna, has said that the federal government does not prioritize education because its officials do not consider the sector's problems as national concerns, requiring collective responsibility. Piwuna, who spoke during an interview, said the indifference of key government officials towards the education sector has made it difficult to achieve sustainable reforms. According to him, members of the Federal Executive Council often view education challenges as the sole responsibility of the Minister of Education. On labor matters, the Non-Academic Staff Union of Educational and Associated Institutions, Nysc, has called on government officials to stop using the no work, no pay policy as a tool of intimidation against workers. The General Secretary of Nysc, Peter Adeyemi, made the call in a statement in Abuja. Adeyemi said the repeated threats by government representatives to invoke the policy were unjust and contrary to the principles of fair labor relations. He explained that strikes were never impulsive actions, but the last resort taken after all lawful and conciliatory avenues had been exhausted. According to him, government officials often neglect agreements and delay workers' salaries, yet threatens sanctions when workers react. Now to Africa, where Cameroon's presidential runner-up Issa Chiroma Bakary has given authorities a 48-hour ultimatum to release all prisoners arrested in the protests that followed the re-election of Paul Biya. In a video posted on social media, Chiroma accused the government of state gangsterism and state terrorism. He also asked authorities to stop practices that he said include ethnic purges. Chiroma came second in the presidential election with 35.19% of the vote, finishing behind Paul Biya, who scored 53.66%. We move now to the foreign scene, where China has said that it would suspend for 1 year special port fees on U.S. vessels simultaneously, with Washington's pause on levies targeting Chinese ships as a fragile trade truce between the superpowers continues to take shape. The United States and China have been involved in a volatile trade and tariff war for months, but agreed to walk back some punitive measures after Presidents Xi Jinping and Donald Trump met last month in South Korea. Reports say at one point, duties on both sides had reached prohibitive triple-digit levels, hampering trade, largest economies, and snarling globally supply chains. The Transport Ministry, in a statement, said the suspension of the port fees, which applied to ships operated by or built in the United States that visited Chinese ports, began at 1:00 p.m. today. Still on the foreign scene, a deal aimed at ending the U.S. government shutdown has passed the Senate, paving the way for the record-breaking impasse to be broken. Reports say after a weekend of negotiations in Washington, a minority of Democrats joined with Republicans and voted in favor of an agreement. The vote is a procedural first step towards passing a compromise to fund the government since it ran out of money in October 1. Still to come in the news. CAF releases 5 key match rules as Nigeria takes on Gabon in 2026 World Cup playoff. Stay tuned for details of these stories and more after this time out. Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now we conclude on the rest of our news stories. On our business news, Nigeria's gross profit from crude and gas sales fell by 43%, accounting for only about 8% of total oil and gas revenue, despite a rebound in oil production. This is according to figures from the latest budget implementation report for the fourth quarter of 2024, released by the Budget Office of the Federation. Oil revenue fell by 824.66 billion naira to 1.08 trillion naira during the year, from 1.90 trillion naira in 2023, representing a 43.32% decline in the year under review. The decrease in revenue highlights the drift towards taxes and royalties as the dominant contributors. We move now to health, where operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency have arrested a wanted drug baron, Yusuf Aziz, at the Muritala Mohammed International Airport, Ikeja, Lagos. The 40-year-old suspect was intercepted on Thursday, November 6, 2025, while attempting to board a flight to Saudi Arabia for Umrah. A statement released yesterday by the NDLEA Director of Media and Advocacy, Femi Babafemi, said Aziz had previously been arrested and charged with drug offenses in the United Kingdom but jumped bail and fled to Nigeria. The NDLEA also said its operatives, working with officers of the Nigeria Customs Service and other security agencies, intercepted 105.5 kilograms of Molly, a designer drug, and 500 grams of methamphetamine during an examination of a shipment at the CVAX Bonded Terminal, Okota, Lagos, on Friday. Still in health, the president of Nigerian Association of Hydrogeologists, Martin Eduvi, has advised government at all levels to implement a comprehensive reform strategy that integrates private sector engagement and stakeholder participation for improved water service delivery across the country. He gave this advice during the 36th annual conference of the association. Eduvi explained that indigenous knowledge, local water associations' transparency in decision-making, and community capacity building are critical for sustainable water governance in Nigeria. The president further admonished the government to strengthen political will through consistent policy implementation, transparent regulatory frameworks, credible partnership structures, and adoption of smart technologies to attract and sustain private sector investment. We move now to sports, where the Confederation of African Football, CAF, has released key match regulations ahead of Nigeria's crucial 2026 FIFA World Cup playoff clash against Gabon, outlining procedural guidelines that will determine how the high-stakes encounter unfolds. CAF confirmed that if the match ends in a draw after 90 minutes, it will proceed to extra time. The additional period will offer both sides another chance to secure a result before penalties come into play. CAF added that teams will be allowed a sixth substitution during extra time. The rule is intended to help cope with the intensity of extended play. Still talking sports, Akwa United have unveiled their new head coach, Paul Ofo. The Promise Keepers have already presented the young tactician to their fans. Recall that Ofo was appointed head coach of the former Nigeria Premier Football League and PFL champions in August. Akwa United expressed confidence in the new tactician's ability to help them secure promotion to the top flight. And on our entertainment news, Nollywood actress Uche Montana has denied the speculation making the rounds that she was involved in the reported drug crisis surrounding actress Regina Daniels and her husband, Senator Ned Nwoko. Montana, in a statement on her Instagram page today, addressed the accusations a few days after Nwoko, in a lengthy Facebook post, named Regina's close friends and relatives, including actresses Sonia Uche and Uche Montana, as allegedly undermining his wife's rehabilitation process. Nwoko had claimed that the individuals in question repeatedly ignored doctors' orders to restrict access to Regina during therapy and would bring her the same drug she was being treated for. Reacting to the post, Montana denied the allegation. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on all our social media handles and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtvlive.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 4. My name is Ofonono Joseph. Good afternoon, and thank you so much for watching.